Well, this takes me back. Almost. Sort of. A little. Willow. It was originally my intention to review the first two episodes of this pretty soon after they aired. I had a busy week. I didn't get to it. So now I'm going to review the first three. And I'll say up front, I don't expect I'll be doing episode by episode reviews on this one because I don't think I'm going to have too much more to say other than what I am about to say. And if that changes, if like an episode really blows me away in a good way or a bad way, I'll come back and I'll probably say something, and I might do an overview at the end. But it's not bad, but it's kind of off. And I suspect part of the reason it's kind of off is that the original Willow, while I grew up on it and have a lot of nostalgic love for it, is not an especially great film. It's not a bad film. It is lovingly produced. It has wonderful characters embodied by very charismatic actors, but it is such bog standard, generic, indistinct fantasy fluff of a narrative. Pretty much everything that's good about it has to do with just the basic competence that went into it on a technical level and the performers. Warwick Davis, Val Kilmer, Gene March, all the rest of them, they put a lot of work into it, and that matters. That makes the difference. But once I strip my nostalgia away, there isn't all that much else that it had. And I think the people who made this continuation of Willow knew that. So they try to bring something else to it, but I don't think they know what they wanted to bring. This, in some ways, feels a little bit like a committee product because there are various aspects that don't flow well together and feel very segmented off. So, for instance, when we're dealing with a lot of the younger characters, it feels sassy. It feels like this sort of almost CW style young people bantering, a little bit of interpersonal drama kind of thing, while, they're off on an adventure. But then you'll have the monsters show up and it gets like really dark visually and sort of tonally. And not in a, ooh, things that got serious way, like in a, this feels like it came from a completely different product way. And so that's kind of what I mean when I say it feels like it was produced by committee or by people working on completely different principles. And the parts are just put together, but they don't flow. You can definitely have a show that'll have the quippy banter aspects and the more dark fantasy aspects that really lean into sort of tension and horror and whatnot. You can have all that. I mean, arguably the original did. Parts of the original did scare me, to be completely honest, but they're not flowing organically here. I think the reason that's a problem for me is that for whatever else you think about the original Willow, it was a very sincere movie. Everybody was there giving their all and taking it pretty seriously. This new one is a little too self-aware. And so it tries to hang lampshades on things. The sassy dialogue will poke at tropes that the show is still freely making use of. It's like they tried to bring a level of self-awareness and that'll bring it up to date. It's like, yeah, but the original wasn't self-aware. That's not what it was. It wasn't the Princess Bride. Princess Bride continuation, don't ever make it. But if they did, that should be self-aware because self-awareness was a major part of that story. It wasn't of Willow. So having it injected now, it feels like a Band-Aid over a wound they don't know how to heal otherwise. Because again, like I said, the original Willow, while I do love it, has a decent amount of problems and isn't that great a movie. So if you're going to do a continuation, you got to do something about that. And I don't think they really knew what they wanted to do about that. So they tried several things and it all just kind of sits there. That having been said, they do have decent performers. Some of them returning. And unfortunately, Val Kilmer, not for largely health reasons. And the younger performers are fine. They're charismatic enough. They can hold the screen. I don't love a lot of the very teenage forced drama nonsense that goes on, especially between two of the women leads, which like I wanted to like them, but then like we got to the third episode and this drama is still dragging on between them, and I'm like, oh, for God's sake, supposedly the world is at stake, and like you're all worried about your brother. Like, why are you still going on about this? And like, yes, I know teenagers get worked up. Yes, they can hold a grudge and really focus on something. Like, I get that, but that's not fun to watch. It's frustrating. And Warwick Davis coming back as Willow. I mean, Warwick Davis he's just a good actor, and he has a very great presence. He also suffers a bit from the self-awareness that the show as a whole has. That having been said, Willow had at least a little bit of self-awareness, at least awareness insofar as the fact that he was not equipped to do what he was doing in that first film. But this isn't really that kind of self-awareness. This is a little bit more metatextual at times. There isn't really much to talk about with the story because it's pretty bog standard generic. So at least that's in keeping with the original. I know I'm largely complaining, and I probably sound like I'm really, really down on the show. I'm not. Here's where I'm at right now. I will probably stick out this season, basically to give it the chance to get better, because, you know, I've watched stuff even recently that found its footing a little ways in. It had some clunky stuff early on, and then it got better. And I'm okay enough with this that I want to give it the chance to get better over the course of this season. If it doesn't get better, I don't know that I would come back for a second season. There are some cool nostalgic things. There's some nifty little Easter eggs, like realizing that, I'm sorry, I forget names. If you watch this channel, you know that. But the character who's the daughter of Saoirse from the first movie uses her same sword. No attention is brought to that I noticed. She just has it. So if you know the movies and Saoirse had a pretty distinct sword, you see her daughter pull out. I was like, oh, cool. So like there's nice little bits of nostalgia like that. We get these sort of demonic dog things that were pretty eye-catching in the original, and we get those back. We get these sort of raiders that have a look that evokes General Kale, who is this guy with the skull mask. So like these little bits and pieces that like give me a little like, oh, but again, that's pretty much completely working on nostalgia. Not ineffectively, but not a lot going on behind that. Again, though, I think the performers are likable enough that this could pull together. There's kind of a roguish character who I sort of like, who's definitely somebody who we can't trust, but is like also just kind of charming. There's a character who basically exists to spout exposition and be a coward, and on paper I don't like him, except he's performed in a way that just makes him kind of endearing to me. So like I'm finding myself taking to this a little bit more than I probably feel like I should. And maybe that is just the nostalgia. But it's fine. That's kind of it. It's fine. And as I said, I don't expect I'll be doing weekly reviews on this one. If I do a review of a specific episode, it's because something major happened. But if that doesn't happen, yeah, maybe an overview at the end. But honestly, if nothing changes and my feelings once I hit the season 1 finale are exactly the same as they are right now, I might not even do that. But, oh well. Willow, what do you think of this? Whatever your thoughts are, drop something down in the comments. Let's talk about it. Patreon pays the bills. And any support you can give me there is greatly appreciated. Don't worry too much about it, though. We take a relaxed attitude around here, so you can just come on back the next time you need a break. End of the video, so I gotta shout out my top patrons. Robin Moore, Zubin Lutfulla, Tarak, the thing that goes doink in the anime, Oliver B., Angus Bjarnason, Melinda Walters, Imudelki, The Oath of Boyd, Katoria, Toy Lowly, Becky Sparks, Fernambulax the Poodle, Zach, Tracy Scrabbit, Angry Casperl, Tim Price, Adam R.D.L. Taylor, Shayla Gourlay, and Brendan LaRose. Thanks for your support. If you want to hear me probably mispronounce your name as well, check out the rewards on the Patreon. How you doing there?